Come on, everybody. Let's end prohibition now, at last, forever, and give clemency to Sir Leonard Peltier and all the nonviolent 420 cannabis prisoners. We love you. We're here for you. And it's my job and duty and pleasure for the rest of my life dedicated to bring you home.
Happy parade.
And there they are. So a round of applause. Okay. And Doug gave himself a round of applause. We're going to let Doug come in. We're going to let Doug introduce himself, and we're going to pin you to the front screen, Doug. Doug, come on in, introduce yourself, and tell us about your Father's Day saga, what you've been doing for the last 10 or 12 years, every Father's Day, to be heard and to voice your heart about nuclear proliferation, and just tell us where you're coming from, man. Welcome, Doug.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Hey, I live in a small town, same small town Jeff lives in rural western Washington, and connecting with the innate worth of all concerned, inviting the better angels of our nature to dwell among us, helping us mature from power over others, what's in it for me, to mutually assured thriving. How can I help? Can we come together in the planetary emergency of now, busy ourselves making a post-carbon world that works for all of us? Being the change that must occur if our descendants are to live. It requires owning our national shadow, poverty, racism, militarism, that inject the poisonous drugs of hate into the veins of normally humane people. Thank you, Martin Luther King. In his last year of life, MLK knew the tools needed to combat racism: dispensation of equitable incomes, real policing reforms, addressing judicial and jury compositions and biases, addressing massive incarcerations, housing, education. In short, issues that are indicators of real, not cosmetic changes and progress. King also knew the national will to make these changes, to do so, was a casualty of Vietnam. Our country, so in love with guns are us, from Iraqistan to Ukraine, to Uvalde, Buffalo, Philly, Charleston, Phoenix, San Bernardino, Chicago, copycat kids, sick with hatred and despair, killing it up, like in the action movies. 250 mass shootings by June this year, and counting. Look into the great soul's mirror, where our compliant selves, our quiet yeses, our silent no's, look back at us, as do the millions killed, starving, refugees, collateral damage, contaminated lands, waters, the stink of fear, burst bodies in the sun. It's so bipartisan, injecting trillions, seeking full spectrum dominance, endless wars, poisoning the well of being we all draw from, setting the killing pace of global military spending, the dope-sick, interlocking crypto, klepto, corporatocracy, controlling damn near everything bought, sold, or pushed, demanding global supremacy, threatening extinction, busy ripping up the fabric of existence. President Eisenhower warned us, this is not a way of life at all in any true sense. Under the cloud of threatening war, it is humanity hanging from a cross of iron. It's up to us, this generation, to rally, pledge our sacred honor, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. A new birth of freedom, growing goodwill, friendship, community, working together, being truthful, fair, open-hearted, battling the growing climate catastrophe as if our house is on fire, shrinking our use of coal, oil, natural gas, building efficient mass transportation, parking our petros, joining the electric vehicle revolution, planting community gardens. No more Chernobyls, Fukushimas, solar, geothermal, wind, not nuclear. Sending Trump's cabal to prison, entering corporate personhood, repairing the Supreme Court, dismantling systemic racism, passing the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, women's right to choose, green jobs, build back better, public housing, Medicare for all, fighting COVID worldwide, helping those suffering from the lucrative opioids plague, those ill from chosen personhood. Joining the UN treaty banning nuclear weapons in the World Court, cleaning up battlefields, disassembling weapons, ending the next war before it starts, learning how to live in peace. Our grandchildren need a living world, full of bees and birds, not one broiled by global warming or frozen in nuclear winter. Don't despair. Let's learn to understand the anatomy of trauma, war's limitations, the power of waging peace, using the skills and frameworks needed to create a more peaceful and just world. We can create this world together with fierce urgency. Many hands are needed to help repair Little Blue Top, spinning through the Milky Way, our only home. We have a choice to do the right thing, me and you. I'm clear what's mine to do. Listen to the light within. What right thing is choosing you? I've quoted a lot of people in here. Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King, several times. I've given some background things in the footnotes. I like writing poetry and prose with footnotes so that people can read and catch the drift of what I'm meaning. So that's what I brought, Jeff. Thank you for listening, people. Thank you.
Well, I think that deserves, let's see if I can bring my sound up. We're going to give you a glockenspiel. And we'll give you a little handout there. Everybody, thank you for listening and for Doug bringing in the Father's Day sermon, and I can't wait to carry that recording further and share that with yourself and with everybody on the planet. It's so important for us to speak our hearts, not our minds, but our hearts. And this is the second time, or maybe the third time. I think it's the second time that I've heard this, but not this generation of your writing. And it brings back the book. I don't have it in my hand here. The only book I have is the Hemp Cookbook here, but the book that Rollo May wrote 50 years ago, 40 years ago, The Courage to Create, that it's responsibility to be an artist. And so I feel that, and I hear that in your tenor, Doug. your desire to do what Jack Herer said, to end prohibition for this beautiful plant and to end hatred and nuclear proliferation. So Doug and I have been friends for many, many years. I've seen his grandchildren now be born and come to fruition. And my father, who is right here, everybody, my father, who lived in Mexico for 30 years because he couldn't do his own architecture in America, so he went down to study in a country that allowed him to do his stuff. He was sad that we had hurt the planet to the point to where his grandchildren would inherit something not as beautiful as he had back in the 30s and 40s and 50s when he grew up, you know, before Las Vegas sprawled, you know, into downtown LA and the rest of the world. So bless you, Doug. We'll go around the room right now, but Doug, any final words for today and for your thoughts?
Well, I appreciate what you're doing here, Jeff, and I too had a wonderful moment with marijuana. I fell off a ladder during a house build and was prescribed opiates for a cracked vertebrae. I found that if I used a THC inhaler instead, that the pain would shift from my point of focus. I could live with it. And the nice thing about THC as compared to opiate is I could poop. I mean, it was a big deal. So it's a powerful drug. I appreciate that Jeff has been called to help free the plant. So thank you for that, Jeff.
Well, I learned from Natasha, our canon nurse. She says meducation. Correct, Natasha?
That is correct. Medicine plus education equals medication, higher learning.
Well, everybody, thank you, Doug. And Doug, what do you have to say to the prisoners?
Perhaps you can seize the day that you're stuck with in your little box and go within and resonate with that light that all of us are woven with, because it's a hell of a place to be. But if you can find liberation that way, you can come back onto the blessing way. I mean, that's what I have to say.
Come on, everybody. Let's end prohibition now, at last, forever, and give clemency to Sir Leonard Peltier and all the nonviolent 420 cannabis prisoners. We love you. We're here for you. And it's my job and duty and pleasure for the rest of my life dedicated to bring you home.
Happy parade.